Hi, my name is Florencia, and I'm here to talk to you about our work, Stress in Domestic Cats, a multidisciplinary approach evaluating hair cortisol associated with coat color, body temperature, temperament, and cat-guardian bond. My supervisors are Dr. Juan Pablo Damián from Facultad de Veterinaria Udelar and Dr. Monique Udell from Oregon State University. As content of this presentation, we have the background, the aim of the project, the data collected, the limitations, and future works. As background, today the domestic cat is the most popular pet in a lot of countries throughout the world. Popularity, sadly, was not accompanied by new lines of research related to the well-being and behavior of this species. Surveys done to guardians found that 37% of them stated that they were stressed by the mere thought of taking their cat to the veterinarian. 88% consider their cat's well-being is affected at all stages in the visit of the veterinarian, and 28% said that if it wasn't such a stressful experience, they would take the cat in more often to preventive care. So stress, the cat and the guardians, is one of the reasons why guardians avoid taking the cat to the vet, which also impacts its welfare and at some point, and in some cats, also public health. This is why we think it's super important to start studying and do research about stress response in cats. We would like to know about its particularities, the triggers, and the potential predisposition that some individuals may have. So, we have to talk about the HPA axis when we're talking about stressors. So basically, the stressor will be perceived by the central nervous system, and the sympathetic adrenomedullary axis will be activated and stimulate the secretion of catecholamines by the adrenal medulla. The second system that responds a bit slower is the HPA axis, in which the hypothalamus will release the CRH, which will stimulate the adenophyseal secretion of adenocorticotropic hormone, which travels throughout the blood until it reaches the adrenal cortex, promoting the release of glucocorticoids. In the case of cats, it's cortisol. These systems also have a negative feedback that should be in place when the stressful experience ends. If the stress response is for the individual's benefit and it returns to its normal biological function, then it's called eustress. But many times the stimulus does not correspond to the response it triggers in the animal or the negative systems that are activated for a prolonged time, then stress stops being a survival tool, and this is called chronic stress. This is what we need to try to avoid. So our proposal for this project had to consider several things that we wanted to take into account. We wanted to do an investigation that centers holistically in the cat. We wanted to have a biological marker, so we chose cortisol in hair because it's non-invasive and painlessly in a hair sample, as it has been already studied in several domestic species also. But we had to take into account a few things. For example, in Orlando cows, the amount of cortisol in white hair and in black hair in the same cow was different. So we had to talk about having cats that were completely of one color or two colors, but completely, for example, white and, for example, completely black. That's what we did. We avoid any color in other ranges, since there will be different intensities and there could be different hairs that were from another color. So we wanted completely black and completely white. In horses, we know the amount of cortisol in hair varied in the season. So we thought about taking 4 samples per cat, 1 in each season. So we will have 4 samples and 1 year throughout the study. This is to avoid the bias of the season difference in the cortisol in the hair. We know also that studies in other domestic species have differences in animals that are spayed or neutered, and differences in the sexes, differences in the temperature. So we know we needed cats that were spayed and neutered and unspayed and unneutered. So we designed this project to have this holistic approach I was talking about, and we wanted to work on behavior, temperament, personality. We wanted to work with the FVET. This is a great test that works for temperament and behavior. We have a validation that is in Spanish of this test. We did Google Forms from it, so the guardians could fill it from home. Then we wanted to do the finality test that was developed by ASPCA. This will give us information about personality. Also the attachment style test and the Lexington test that would give us information about both the guardian to the cat and the cat to the guardian attachment styles. And the sociability test that would give us information about sociability, and the hair cortisol sample taking that we would later analyze by ELISA. So this is our preliminary design. As you can see, it looks super fancy. 80 cats were the N we wanted for this after we did the statistics. 40 white cats, 40 black cats. They were going to be divided in categories. There were female and male, spay and spayed, neuter and neuter, and single cat household and multi-cat household, because there are mixed evidence on that, so we wanted to put it as another variable. The inclusion criteria had being apparently healthy, being between 6 months and 12 years old, not having received corticosteroids by any means in the last 3 months, and living less than 2 hours away from our Facultad de Veterinaria, where we're going to perform the tests. So we had some limitations, of course we did. We expected them, but not this much and not this hard. The first one was that in June, our research team published the first characterization of cats in Uruguay. It's a beautiful study, but we found out that gladly for the population, but not for us, 84% of cats is spayed or neuter. These are guarded cats with guardians. This made virtually impossible for us to find unspayed and neutered cats that were old enough to participate in the study or that could remain unneutered or aren't spayed for a year. So this was a really big problem. Then the cost of the thermal cameras was really high. We couldn't afford that, so we had to introduce that in another study maybe in the future. And also the organization and planning was extremely exhausting, like really exhausting. So first we started contacting volunteers. We disseminated this flyer throughout official social media of our Facultad de Veterinaria and also our personal social networks. We did 2 months volunteer recruitment campaign, and we achieved 161 volunteers. But once we started calling them and texting them, we found that many guardians could no longer participate or weren't able to participate for a year long. So we encountered all this limitation that we talked about. In case of neuter or spayed cats, they were like the majority of them. So the setup for the data collection, we had this room that was 3 meters per 2 meters wide. It was adapted for the studies. The normal use is not for this. We use also cameras. We had 2 web cameras and 1 HD camera with a tripod that you can see in the yellow arrow there. With all the 3 cameras, we could watch the whole room. All the corners of the room were being recorded. As you can see, you have 2 cameras in the same corner. That's because the HD camera tended to fail or to shut down. So we put another camera on top of it to have that angle always. And we could, with this technological installment of the cameras with tape, but it worked. Also, we did the Zoom call with these cameras, so we were watching everything live, everything that was happening inside that room. That was super interesting for us and also for the volunteer students that were working with us, because of course they were selected and they have a third station to watch this and access this information. And they, for example, could watch it from home when they couldn't make it to the faculty. they could watch it from home. Here you can see Seitan. Seitan is Camila's cat. He's watching one of the tests from home. They could make us observation and ask us questions from what they were watching. It was really an interesting experience. We had also this, I think it's called clapperboard or something like that, the ones used in cinema. We never clap it, we just show it to the camera because we wanted to avoid the problem of downloading the videos to the computer and losing the names of those videos that were the ID of the cats and the name. So we put all the important information in that clapperboard and we show it to the camera. And then if the name changes when you download it to the computer, we didn't have any problem with that because we'll have all the information inside the video. Well, this is the order of the test. We did first the functionality test. Well, while I was doing the functionality test with the cat inside the room, the guardian was doing the Lexington test in one of the laptops. Then the guardian got in the room and did the attachment style test. Then the sociability test, and then the sample taking, the hair sampling. We did all this in 30 minutes. It was super important for us to avoid any unnecessary stress and to make it a stress-free experience if we could. So we use pheromones, we spray them inside the cat carrier for making the trip back home a little bit stressful. We use quiet flippers, we use specific music for cats, and we got this wonderful experience where cats were playing and were eating and were having really so much fun inside that room with us. So that was super satisfactory. And they all got home with one little box with some food, some treats, and some toys. So as I told you previously, we wanted 80 cats. Today we've got 36 of them. But you know, that's okay. These things happens when you're doing research. We didn't expect something this big and challenging happen, but it's okay. We have to adapt. As far as today, we have 36 tests because we have 36 cats, but one of the cats couldn't finish the sociability test. So we have 35 of those. We want to keep on researching on this topic in the future, give some guardian-friendly talks about cat behavior and attachment. In the future, we would like to have enough funding to extend the study to other cats in the rest of the country to avoid location bias, continue investigating cat stress and human cat bond that we love so much. And as acknowledgements, I would like to thank my supervisors, Juan, Pablo, and Monique, for their patience, for always sharing their knowledge and giving me a safe space to learn and make mistakes. To Delaney, who taught me the finality test, and to Kristen Vitale, who helped me so much in learning the sociability test. Thank you, Gabi, who is always working beside me in this incredible project. This is impossible without you. Thank you, Gami. Thank you, Gami, always for helping us. You do it in a completely honorary way, and we appreciate that. Thank you to all the wonderful students who volunteered and helped us during the research. Cami, Lu, Noe, Gloria, Micaela, and everybody in the group. You are wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Matias Villagrán, for your help and support in this project. And of course, thank you to our incredible cat guardians who took the time and brought their beautiful cats to our university for us to work and learn more about them, knowing it'll hopefully help improve welfare for a lot of other cats in the world. Thank you very much.